Nashville, Tennessee, the state capital, the fastest growing city in the U.S. right now, home of hot chicken, right in the heart of the Bible Belt, and we are known for music. Music City, USA. We're not just known for country anymore. Things are so diverse, and it will blow your mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul the Fifth, and I am walking down Music Row in Nashville, Tennessee. I am giving to you studio tours. Right behind me are some of the classic studios right here in the city. Here in Music Row, we are immersed with music studios such as this one right behind me. Everywhere you go, there is a studio. You can throw a rock and hit a musician or a recording studio here in Nashville. In this series, I'm going to be taking you to some of the home studios in Nashville. Behind me is a commercial facility. We'll be visiting some of those as well. We might be seeing some big ones, some small ones, maybe some bedroom producers, and some studios in between. And guess what? I might have a celeb or two on the show as well. And if you are ready, let's go. What is good, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Paul the Fifth, and it is time for yet another studio tour. Today, we're taking a trip to the north side of town. We're going up to Goodlettsville. We are going to be visiting a really good friend of mine. The audio engineer that you are going to meet today, I've known for 4 years. We met in 2018 when I had a studio space at Diamond Sound Studio, and we met via a mutual drummer friend of ours. His name is Dave Ryan. This audio engineer and I, we've kept in touch over the last few years. He's played guitar on a few tracks that I've been working on and producing. You may have heard me talk about him. Another cool fact about this audio engineer is he has just got done with a complete renovation of his studio. It not only looks great, but it sounds great as well. This audio engineer also plays guitar for an up and coming country artist. We'll talk about that in this video here also. A couple cool happenings that take place at this studio. He hosts artist spotlights as well as live streams for rehearsals, recording, mixing services. And something really cool is, now this might give his name away, but he has something called Claw Jams. If you haven't guessed it, that's right, we are going to meet Mr. Corey Lawson of Claw Sound Studios. During my studio visit, we had a great time. I was very impressed with the new renovation and upgrades. We talk shop as well as we provide you with some life lessons. I had a super great time checking out Claw Sound Studios renovation. I think you'll enjoy the video as well. So let's go ahead and get this show on the road so you can meet Mr. Corey Lawson of Claw Sound Studios. Here we go. Well, I have made it up here to Goodlettsville. We are at Claw Sound Studios today. Let's go ahead and meet Corey. There's the dogs.
don't know why I always do that.
What's up?
Rock and roll.
What's going on, buddy?
What's up, man?
How are you?
Good. Thank
Good
you
to
for
see you,
having
man.
me out to Clockstown Studios.
Dude, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming, man. I'm happy to have you. Come on in.
Okay.
Come on. Let's go. Welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Control room looks good.
Thank you.
I'm
yeah.
excited to see the renovation and hear the story.
Yes. The control room is not complete yet, but it's getting me by. But yeah, I've got some new stuff coming in here. So I'm going to be finishing some upgrades in this room, but the live room is pretty much renovated and good to go.
I know one time when I was here, when you were tracking for me, you said you're trying to get some equipment or some sound paneling that was made in Ukraine. Are you still trying to get that from there?
Because of the whole Ukraine situation, I found another company and I got these from Jacquire Acoustics. I've got a couple more of them I'm going to be putting up on this wall. They make great stuff. They're awesome. They look really nice. They help with the sound. I like them better than just the Arlex foam or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say that it definitely feels and sounds a little tighter in here.
Going for the kind of wood vibe in here, and the wood paneling usually helps with the sound. It doesn't absorb too much. It doesn't deaden the room too much. It gives you a little life, but still absorbs the unwanted frequencies and things, from what I've experienced at least. Yeah. All right, come on in the live room.
Okay.
This is her. So this is where the magic happens. The studio is basically these two rooms. Small, but functional and practical. There's a garage right over there. Basically my garage, and I've got an ISO cab for guitar amps out there.
And was this a garage too at one point in time?
This whole building was a garage. I bought the house in 2018, and this was just an empty 2-car garage. I had my buddy Leo Zayas. I said, man, I want to convert this into a studio. Can we do this? He's like, yeah, man, I'll help you. And because he's done handiwork, he's done construction, he's done all that stuff. Like, I'm not really, like, I can be handy. Like, I'm a semi-handy guy, but I don't know construction. I can't build something like that. So he kind of led the charge on that, told me how to do it. We spent a year building it. You know, I prepped, I figured out. I did it on a super budget. That's actually a video that I plan on making in the near future, is like kind of how I built the studio. And not including gear and stuff, I pretty much did it on, like, I didn't spend more than $6,000 on the entire building of this. Now, I've spent more since I've done the renovations. I invested a few more grand in that. But that's a video I want to make, is talking about that, just to help other producers or studio guys who want to build their studio on a budget friendly, like not go drop 30 grand or 50 or 100 or whatever, you know, like. So that's a plan of mine.
Well, that's pretty awesome. I mean, it looks and feels and it sounds great, the music that comes out of here.
Thank you.
The drums are tight. We track guitar in there. We're going to do that again soon, but it sounds great.
Thank you, man. Yeah, that's kind of what I go for, is great sounds on budget-friendly prices, kind of cater to independent artists who can't afford the bigger studios. I still work in bigger studios every now and then when I get the opportunity, or if I have a bigger budget project. And I mean, for the most part, I can do everything I need to out of my studio. There's so many amazing studios in Nashville, and they're just down the street.
I had an instructor when I was going to SAE said you can pick up a rock, throw it, and hit a musician.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same way with studios. They're everywhere. Their houses have been converted, so.
That's all it is, man. It's just about knowing what you need and what the purpose of your studio is. And a big thing that I try to do here is video content.
Yes.
You know?
I know you said that in here you do a lot of live sessions, and you showed me some of that stuff on your IG page.
And that's just in the process of changing, because like we said, you know, I just did these renovations, so it looks a lot better in here than it recently did. All the live sessions I've done so far have been in the old setup, which I'm sure on this video you'll show some pictures of how it used to look.
Oh yeah.
My live session videos are gonna get a little bit of an upgrade in how they look and stuff. But yeah, like I do just live acoustic performance videos for artists. I do a lot of them for the artists that I work with. And then I have kind of a series that I started called Claw Jams. I bring musicians in, any musician who wants to be a part of it, like, and most of them are just buddies or are pros who I know who play on the road with other artists, and they just come in. It's like an outlet to just jam. It's an open jam session. They come in and we just do a live improv jam session and record it, film it, and just piece together a little video for it. You know,
Cool.
It's a lot of fun. Then I also, a part of that is Claw Jam's Artist Spotlight, where I'll actually bring an artist in to play an original song and perform that. And I don't charge anything for that. It's sort of a series that I do to just give artists an opportunity for some cool content to put out, and they don't have to necessarily pay for it. Now, as far as the artist spotlight, I'll kind of pick and choose the artists I want to do that for. And the claw jams, I'll just bring my buddies in, like musicians. It's just something for fun, you know. It gives musicians cool content to share around and sort of add to their portfolio.
Very awesome. So is there somewhere that anybody that might be watching this can go to check that footage out?
Well, it's on my YouTube channel on
Okay.
Claw Sound Studios. We have a YouTube channel, and it's on my Instagram page, which is Claw Sound Studios. You can go check out all those videos.
So it looks different in here now. We've got nice wooded panels on the wall. We've got new sound treatment. I know you've done that within the last 2 weeks. It's early June now. Can you tell me about that process, how long it took?
Man, we did it really quick because so the artist I play guitar for, Erith Old, is actually a really handy man himself, and he helped me do a lot of the work. He actually used to work for a construction company back in the day, and he helped me do a lot of the work, install the wall panels. I already had these sound panels, all this treatment I already had in the room, but we cleaned them up. We just kind of reupholstered them. So
they look brand new. I thought they were.
Yeah, they look new because we reupholstered them.
Okay.
And changed the color on these others. I'm still gonna install some LED backlight on these.
That'd be cool
just to have, you know,
be a vibe.
Yeah, man, vibes.
Sweet.
Yep. And and then we repainted all these walls to match the same color because before they weren't all the same color and it looked weird.
Okay. So tell me about the setup. We'll obviously have drums in the back corner. Do you do like a typical stage plot where you have like your bass player here?
Usually a bass player. Yeah, typically bass player will kind of chill over there in the corner. A bass player, guitar player, people can sit out in that room as well.
And yeah.
You know, we can sit wherever you're comfortable. I don't really have a designated stage plot for that kind of thing. It's wherever people feel comfortable.
Okay.
Hang out and play. Like the bass player usually likes to be close to the drummer.
Yes.
So
as a drummer myself, I got to have that rhythm section there holding it down.
Yeah, definitely. But other than that, you know, it's kind of just wherever. I mean, if we're recording something live, like a claw jams, and everybody will be in the room, and I have to deal with drum bleed into the vocal mics and stuff. But, you know, obviously for studio recordings, you know, we'll obviously overdub vocals or put the singer in that room or something.
Okay. I had a question for you. When you do the artist spotlight, anybody super famous come in here for that?
Not yet. I've kind of just got this series off the ground. I believe I've only done one artist spotlight with a band called Lombardi, who's awesome. They're a cool rock band in Nashville, doing great things. They're killing it. Check them out. But I've done a bunch of claw jams with musicians, just a bunch of musicians. I've had a guy who's played with Keith Urban, did one of the jams. Josh Kearney, he's killer.
Yeah.
I've had a bunch of my friends who play with various artists on the road.
So you know what would be super cool is we have a mutual friend. His name is Mikey Collinsworth.
Yeah.
He used to play in your band, Live by Satellite.
Yeah.
He is a guitar tech for Aaron Lewis. How cool would it be if we could work that out to get Aaron Lewis in here?
Be awesome, man.
Do you want to hear the story about Aaron, how he asked me to hang with him?
Yes,
We're talking
tell
about
it.
this off camera.
Let's hear the Aaron Lewis story.
So Aaron, if you get to watch this, much love to you, man. But when I was an intern at Soundstage, I had started like a week or two before. Every Thursday, we would have YouTube at Ronnie's place, which is another building there. And we had pizza delivered. I'm eating pizza. I'm front desk duty, answering phones, letting people in the doors, scheduling all this stuff. Somebody comes up, and it's freaking Aaron Lewis.
How crazy.
And I tried not to, fanboy out. So I'm like, eat my pizza. I'm like, what's up, Aaron? And he's like, how's it going, man? I'm like, I'm good. How's your session? Like, I'm shaking. And he's like, we get to talking. Next thing I know, he's like, hey, man, me and the crew's about to go outside and smoke a J behind the dumpster. If you want to come with us, you're a pretty cool cat. And I'm like, dude, you have no idea how bad I want to do that, but I'm 2 weeks into this internship. I can't do that. I'll get let go.
Responsible man.
Tried to be.
Smart choice.
But maybe we can do that in the future, Aaron.
There you go. If you're watching.
Yeah. So man, it's kind of hot out. June is here,
Yeah,
summertime.
man,
Can I
it is,
have
man.
something to drink?
Dude,
To
come
finish?
on, come on. Let's see. Let me turn. Oh wait, what we got? Yeah, the Marshall fridge. One of my favorite pieces of the studio. What do you want? A water, Pepsi, Coors?
Let's take a
feel
Coors. I'm a man.
I feel like one. Let's do it. Why not? It's Saturday.
Yes.
Man, come on. Yeah, so everybody always looks at this and thinks it's an amp. Like, man, that's a cool amp, dude. Do you ever record through that? I was like, man, that's a fridge.
Hell yeah. Okay, I'm gonna down this. Well, open
Cheers.
it. Cheers. This is the first time I've ever drank a beer doing a studio tour, but cheers. We're grown, man.
Cheers. That's the only way to do it, man. That's how I live. Most of my friends, like, they won't do a session unless you got a beer for them or something.
Hey, that or weed, whatever.
Whatever floats your boat, man.
Yeah. So we got a killer guitar rack here. Let me step over here. What do we got? Acoustic, some basses maybe.
We do. This is an Alvarez that was passed down to me from my granddad. It's a great sounding guitar. I mainly use it, I drop tune it a whole step down, whatever, standard D tuning. So I use it for like weird low tuning kind of stuff. Got really heavy gauge strings on it. I've got a Martin, which is in this, it's in that bag, I'll get it out. It's a ADP 1.7, I believe. I use that for most of my acoustic tracks. It's just a beautiful sounding instrument.
Is that what you're gonna use on our session later?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably, yeah. But like for songs that call for like a low tuning or drop C or some kind of crazy stuff, I'll use that guy. This is my Fender Strat 2017 American custom shop.
Beautiful.
It's just, dude, I haven't really found a Strat that sounds better that I love. Like, and it actually took a while to get these pickups. It's got some hand wound pickups. I actually have a video of it on my YouTube channel of these pickups, but they're made by Bud's pickups, a guy out of New York. I mean, Joe Bavona, who is my guitar tech, referred me to him. And he does his own hand-wired pickups, and he made these, because I've went through 3 or 4 different sets of pickups in this, and none of them ever really had that thing until I got these, and dude, it sounds like a Strat. It's amazing. I love this guitar.
Sweet.
So I highly recommend Bud's pickups. Check them out.
Okay.
Yeah, and then this is a friend of mine's Strat that just leaves it here. He loaned it to me. It's a Japanese Fender, or no, or it's like a Squire, I believe. I'd have to remember exactly what it is, but it's made in Japan, and it's actually a really cool guitar.
Cool.
Because any of the old
Can I see
Fenders
the back
made
of
in
that?
Japan are always made really well.
Check this out.
Yeah.
Part of electronics and stuff back there. I guess it's just missing the
Missing the back plate.
back plate.
Yep.
I bet that sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's a great guitar. It belongs to my buddy Brandon Roberts, who is a great bass player in town. You've probably seen him playing around in a kilt downtown. He's the guy that plays in a kilt.
I think I know who you're talking about.
You've probably seen him. He plays all the time. This is my Dean, which is technically the closest thing that I have in the studio to my first guitar. This is
I love that finish.
yeah, I've always loved that. It's it's a weird guitar. It's funky because they call it the Hardtail Select Vibrato, but it's a floating bridge, which is weird because hardtail is a fixed bridge. The Dean hardtails are like this style, but they have a fixed hardtail bridge. So this is like the style of the Dean hardtail, like the body style and everything, but it has a floating bridge on it. So it's a weird little funky cool guitar. It sounds good. The humbuckers sound good, so it's kind of like
Gotta have
the
that.
only true humbucker guitar that I own. Like, I'm really more of a single cool guy personally, but when I really need that humbucker thing, then this is the go-to. I got to get the jack fixed on it though. It's broke.
Oh.
So it's not out of commission at the moment. This is my high-strung guitar. This is a cool little piece. This is literally, I paid $20 for this guitar, or $40 I think, from Brandon, my same buddy who that Japanese guitar owns. Yeah, New York Pro, whatever that brand is, I don't know. Like, this guitar was laying in his garage, and he just wasn't using it. It's just a cheap Strat. So I gave him $40 for it. I've got the Nashville high strungs on it. I don't know, are you familiar with that?
No.
Literally just, you take a pack of 12 strings, and you just take the high strings.
Gotcha.
And the bottom 3 are just normal, like a regular guitar. The top 3 are an octave higher. The same note. They're tuned to the same tuning, but the top 3 strings they're thinner, so they're octave higher. So you just get this really shimmery, cool sound. So I use it for like textures and when you need that kind of really pretty shimmery sound on music, just to add a texture. Cool. It's cool. But the crazy thing, for $40, this guitar really, the pickups in it sound good. Like I plugged it in expecting it to sound like crap, and it sounds good.
It looks like something from the 60s or 70s.
Yeah. But it really honestly sounds good.
Awesome.
It's cool. Yeah.
Real quick, I just got to give a big shout out to my cameraman. I'm Matthew Lockridge for filming this. Rock and roll. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, man.
Awesome.
There's our.
So this isn't all of my amps, but these are a couple of my amps here. The Supro, like I said, is Brandon's. But yeah, these things are cool, man. Like for little downtown gigs, it's lightweight. It really sounds good. It's got different settings. It's got clean, crunch, lead, brown sound. It's got that Van Halen kind of thing, dude. They're cool amps, man. I've even recorded with it. It's
sweet. It's
a very cool little piece of gear.
So tell me about your downtown playing. I never can say the name of the artist right.
So I play with Old. He's an up-and-coming artist. Like, we're actually working on a lot of new music for him. We play Broadway. We play the bar circuits. We travel around. We don't do as much traveling as we used to. We used to play at bars all over the place. Tin Roofs, Old Crow. Like, we travel all over the place and do that thing. But he's focusing pretty heavily on the artist thing right now, like really pursuing his original music and playing less. There's nothing wrong with playing cover songs, he makes a living playing cover songs and doing that stuff, but he's been writing a lot for the past year, and he's released music over the past couple years, has gained some traction, and he's got a fan base, but we're working on taking it up a level. And so we're recording a lot of music for him.
And you've done some live sessions in here too for him, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've done some live sessions. There's stuff on his page that he's released and posted. Yeah, definitely. And we'll be doing more of them.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't checked him out, definitely need to do that.
His name is Old. Erath. It's a family name. Yeah.
Yeah, you told me that. I always thought it was Erath.
Yeah.
And I was like, I butchered it.
When you look at it spelled, usually the mind thinks Erath. That's what when I first saw it, that's what I thought. And I was like, what is it? I was like, what kind of name is that? Yeah, it's pronounced Erath. And it came from like his granddad's something. He's got a whole story on it. Granddad's dad's like friend or something had this name, and like he was like a special friend of the family, and they named someone after him, and they kept passing down that name through generations. It's kind of crazy.
Sweet.
Yeah, check him out. We got a song coming out June 24th that's we're going to be pushing pretty hard. Be on the lookout for
Available
everywhere.
Like, anywhere you get your music.
Anywhere. Yeah, it'll be on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, all the
streaming platforms.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Rock and roll.
Yeah.
Something that catches my eye in that corner. What's up with that guitar?
Yeah, it's funny. I've had multiple people ask, like, is that like a special guitar? Is that like your most expensive guitar or something? This is
just looks fancy.
It is. It's a Dobro resonator guitar.
Oh, Dobro.
Yeah, which I found out recently, a couple months ago, that Dobro was actually just a brand. Like, I always thought Dobro was a style of guitar, but Dobro is it's actually like a brand name. So you think of Dobro, you think of this type of guitar, but it's just a resonator style guitar. I thought that was really interesting. I was like, oh, wow, I thought a Dobro was like a style.
See, but you learn something
something every day. But this is just a resonator acoustic guitar, real high action, so it's meant for slide. You use a slide with it. This is a Morel brand, which I think the guy who makes these guitars is based out of like East Tennessee, not too far away from here. It's a really cool guitar. I found it on Facebook Marketplace.
That seems to be like the best place to find some of the coolest things.
Yeah, man, I love it. I found a lot of stuff on there.
Cool. So then we got a Mando. Is that right? Is that a
That is a Johnson. That's a
eight
cheap
string?
I've had that thing for probably 20 years. It's a cheap little Johnson mandolin. I don't really use it too much. I need a new mandolin, but it's more just for wall decor than anything else. Like, I have recorded with it, and it actually sounds good. I think something's up with the truss rod because the two high strings will not, they just break. When you tune them up to pitch, they just break. So it's something's up with the structure or the truss rod. I don't think it even has a truss rod or something, I guess. I don't. It's a cheapo, but I've used it. I've used the low strings to record certain parts, and and it's like cool. It works, you know.
Okay. Well, if nothing else, it looks like a cool wall piece. So.
Right? Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
So you probably know this, but guys, I'm a gear junkie. I love gear. Started out as a drummer, audio guy, but tell me about these drums.
Man, they're all toys. They're fake. We don't
Okay.
actually use them. Yeah, we don't. They're just for looks, man. No. So these actually all belong to my buddy Dave Ryan, who's kind of like the house drummer here at Claw Sound Studios. He lived with me for a long time. Got his own place recently. He leaves his stuff here because he comes in, does sessions, records all the time. This is a Gretsch. I'm not a drummer. I don't know a whole lot about these, to be honest with you. I know this is a Gretsch. Of the ones that I have in the studio, the one over on the kit is my favorite. It's the Yamaha Steve Jordan Signature Series snare.
Very jealous.
Great sounding snare. I use that on a lot of recordings. Usually, from what I've found with snares, my favorite to record have been that Steve Jordan, obviously a Black Beauty.
Black Beauties.
I don't own a Black Beauty, but like a lot of the guys I work with, they'll bring in a Black Beauty, which is always fun. And then Acrolite. Dave's got an Acrolite that it's not here right now, but we record it a lot, and it's a great sounding snare.
Okay. Very cool. 2 Gretches.
And this is just an old little, I think a Gretsch. It's a cheapo kind of. Some use it for like weird loop sounds or different vibes, you know.
Okay.
Well, this one's actually decent. It's a Black Hawk. That's a decent little
Those are nice.
snare.
What do we got right here? Is this a?
So this is a mic. That's like one of the first pieces of studio gear that I ever bought. I've had this thing for over 10 years. Since I've probably had it for about 12 years. It's a Aventone CV12.
Okay.
Tube mic. It's not a very expensive, it's a $500 mic, but I mean, I've recorded so many vocal tracks and acoustic tracks. I mean, I've recorded so much with this. I mean, probably thousands of recordings I've used this mic on.
So versatile. What do you use it in here for? Like guitar, vocals, room mics?
I use it for vocals. I have used it for room mics, for drum room mics or room ambient mic. I've used it for acoustic. It's a great acoustic guitar mic. It can be a little bright for certain things. These are bright mics. That's one thing. So I noticed that it pairs well with certain preamps. It doesn't pair too well with really bright preamps. Like API style preamps can be a little too much for this mic. I have a Joe Meek channel strip that it pairs really well with.
Nice.
With that Joe Meek, for whatever reason, this and that Joe Meek channel strip has been a great vocal chain for me. And it sounds good through a 1073. I don't have a real one, but I've got the plug-in version, which in my ears sounds excellent. The UAD one.
Okay.
You know.
Cool. So behind Dave's drums, so these look like an older kit, but I'm sure they have like a pretty killer sound.
Yeah, and once again, I want to give huge mad credit to Dave Ryan. Pretty much all the drum gear in my studio pretty much belongs to him. He's been a huge help to this studio. He's engineered a lot of sessions for me. He's produced some stuff out of here. He's played drums on so many sessions and so many songs that have come out of the studio. Great drummer. Mad props to Dave Ryan. Check him out. Look him up. If you need a drummer for your session or for live, hit him up.
That's right. That's actually how I met Corey. It's through Dave when I had my spot at Diamond Sound Studios in 2018. And here we are. So it's come full circle.
Yeah.
And Dave used to actually play for Elevation Worship too.
Yeah.
So rock solid man of God, good heart. What's our overheads?
AKG 214s.
214s. I've got a stereo pair of those.
Nice. I love them, man. They're killer overheads. I've got those. So I've used a few different mic setups on drums. Man, from what I've learned with tracking drums, it's really a combination of so many things. The first thing is have good drums.
Yes.
It's actually an old 70s Slingerland kit. This is, it's a cool kind of, they're pretty warm, darker drum sounds. They don't work for everything, but these are great sound. They're great for country, they're great for rootsy stuff, and they can be pretty fat and ballsy too. They're good sounding drums, and they're old, which anything old is usually good, right?
Yeah, anything vintage, they always say get that vintage sound. It's like
they definitely have that
stuff.
vintage sound, without a doubt. The first thing is to have great drums at the source. Just great drums, have them tuned right. You got to tune them right.
That could be any instrument. So your drums, your guitar, make sure you change out those strings. If you're a vocalist, make sure you come in prepped. Like me, right now I'm kind of parched and drinking beer. That good on the vocal cords. It always starts at the source. So if you have a crappy source,
you can only do so much in the recording. And I've recorded a lot of shitty sounding instruments, and get proper gear for what you're doing. It's worth the investment to buy nice gear. You don't have to buy the most top of the line stuff and spend crazy amounts of money, but just buy quality instruments, quality gear.
Yes, don't get yourself in debt, but get what you can afford. Make sure it's good. If you need help on tuning guitars, drums, tons of YouTube tutorials out there. But like you said, same thing when it goes to your mics and pre's. Get decent to good quality.
Don't go heavily into debt. Get what you need to get the results that are going to accelerate your career, that are going to compete with what other professionals are doing.
Exactly. So like, prime example of that, totally different genre than comes out of here, but well, kind of similar. Post Malone.
Yeah.
So he's got his engineer, producer uses an Apollo Twin. 2 input for his vocal, like that. Global artist. So I mean, if you can do something simple, do that.
And that's been my approach, to be honest. I do everything on a budget. I don't buy gear that I don't need. If I don't absolutely need it to get a project done, then I don't go buy it. I don't go in debt. I don't spend money to do that. Nothing against having all the gear and all the things. There's a time and a place for that. When I need the access to those things, I can go to the bigger studios or rent them or do whatever. To me, it's about being business minded, and what do you need to get a project done, and to get it done right. Get what you need to do that, you know. Low operation cost. In today's music industry, because the industry is evolving and it's changed so much, you have to kind of have low overhead. To me, paying to market your music is just as important, if not more important, than paying to record it and produce it. You got to produce it and have it well done. Obviously, your production quality has to compete with everything else, but there's no point in paying for a song to be recorded if you're not gonna put money and invest in promoting it and get it out there and actually get it heard by people.
Exactly. So you could have this awesome top 10 killer song, but if nobody knows about it,
then what's the point of it? Yeah.
Exactly. Going back to my Gear Junkie stuff, what do you have on the kick drum? Is that a Slate mic?
That's the Slate ML1, I think.
ML1.
Yeah.
Any mic modeling that you use on that for your kick drum?
Yeah, I usually throw the 47, which is like the model
47.
of the FET 47. That's what I usually put it through. I've done a couple different ones, but that for kick, that seems to work best. You know, because like tons of guys use the U47 on kick drum for the kick out mic. I have a Audix D6 on the kick in mic.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, that thing kind of adds some woofy, just adds a little woof and roundness to the kick sound. And I've got mostly Audix mics on the toms and everything.
Then a Samson
CO2.
I've got stereo pair of those.
Those mics were actually referred to me by the engineer who was working at Fame Studios in Muscle Shoals, because that's where I interned. Like they're cheap. Like it's $100
$100
for two mics, for a stereo pair of them. The guy at Fame Studios was like, "Yeah, man, I've been using these for overheads. I've used those for overheads, and they sound good."
I have too. I've used those for overheads. I have 2 hi-hats. I have one on my left, one on my right, and I use those for that. I've used them on overheads, different combinations of things. I've used them for room mics.
I've used them for acoustic guitar.
Yep.
I've used it for a bunch of stuff.
I've used those for like sampling stuff, and I've actually taken those out and got samples of like crickets outside and stuff like that too.
They're really great mics for cheap. That's an example of getting something that's going to give you quality results without breaking the bank.
So tell me about our XLR cable plugins.
Yeah, this is my live room patch plate, basically. This is just a wall plate, an extension of my interface, essentially. So
Got you.
I just have 12 channels of inputs out here for this room. So I couldn't do an orchestra, unfortunately, but I can do a full drum kit and a couple other little things. It's basically just going one-to-one. Most studio engineers will probably like shun me for this, but I don't use a patch bay in my studio.
I don't either.
I just go one-to-one, everything direct to my preamps and my interface. And I just patch out here on the physical wall plate in the live room. I have more inputs in the control room, but for out here, I've got 12 for this room.
Well, as you guys can tell, we just did a little jam session. You can tell how clean the audio actually is going direct. Very cool. So you said you can have 12 channels recording simultaneously?
For the whole studio, 16.
16, okay.
For now, I'm gonna hopefully soon be upgrading to probably get another 8. I have 24 at some point. For now, I've got 16 total. In this room, there's 12 channels of inputs, but I can always like run cables through rooms and add more. So I have 16 total.
Okay. So since we talked about that, can we see some of the cool stuff in the control room?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sweet. All right, we are on the other side of the glass in the control room now. So what is at the hub? I mean, what is your main
This is
interface?
The centerfold, the headquarters of the studio, I guess. The heart of everything. The UAD Apollo is my main thing. That's the go-to. That's what I see most guys use. When I was shopping and looking around, I looked at Antelope and UAD and a few others. Universal Audio just makes such fantastic gear. I mean, I'm a big supporter of them. I'm a huge supporter, and their plugins, everything is just top-notch quality. Their plugins, versions of hardware like the 1176 and the 1073 and even their guitar amp plugins, everything just sounds as good as the real thing. Kid you not. I mean, if you try to compare their plugin versus the analog hardware or whatever, the difference is so minor, it's so little. It's like, I mean, now like some audiophiles might be like, I can hear that, but the average ear just can't hear the difference.
Yes. Talking about that, have you seen the video with Jacquire King where he actually does that? He's at Blackbird in, I think, Studio A.
I've seen a few videos of comparing all that
I'm going to
stuff.
post that up in this area or in the description so you guys can check it out.
Yeah.
But Jacquire King is a engineer producer here in Nashville, top notch, just like Corey. But he does a video where he's actually taking signal chain from a console going to UAD hardware to the plugins, and he's recording and playing back, and it's like you say, it's pristine.
Like you can hear a subtle difference, but it's so subtle. It's like it's just so much more budget friendly and convenient. I mean, don't get me wrong, like there is something to having analog. There's a little bit of magic to having physical knobs to turn. And I love analog gear, don't get me wrong. I see why guys get it and use it. And I have some, but when you can have plugins and have access to any hardware you can think of, and all you got to do is get the plugin.
Just pull it up on an insert,
It's amazing.
And I've often said that in my apartment, I don't have, let alone room, or I don't have the budget to power in anything analog.
Yeah.
But I can afford $25 a month for the Plugin Alliance bundle.
Exactly. It makes music production more accessible to the small bedroom producers, people who want to make art but can't afford to spend tens of thousands of dollars on gear. Plugins like DAWs, like all this digital stuff has made music recording and production more accessible to people. Some may say it's saturated, just saturated in music in general, but I think it's a good thing. If you have the will to do it and you're willing to put in the time and learn everything and get good at it, anybody can create great music from home.
Exactly. And there's a composer, Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
He has a master class. A kid in the Bronx can make a hit on his iPad.
Yeah.
And like you said, if you have that knowledge.
It's about applying what you have. You don't have to have the most amazing gear. You don't even have to have the most amazing interface or the most amazing plugins. If you have the basic stuff, just to get started, if you just learn to use what you have and utilize it, make the best of what gear you're able to afford and get your hands on, whether it's borrowing something from a buddy or just if you have a $500, $200 budget for gear, then spend that $200 on whatever you think is gonna get you the best bang for your buck and make music.
There's a saying that says it's not always the gear, it's the ear.
Yes.
In a future episode, a friend of mine, his name is Mark Thomas, he relates everything like this. He says when he was in the Army, he had a sergeant that said, if you're a Navy SEAL, you can go anywhere and accomplish your task.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you know what the heck you're doing, you can go to any studio,
Yeah.
apply the concepts, and make something exceptional.
Yep, absolutely. And the thing is, you start small and you grow. Over time, you start to improve at your craft, and then you get new gear and you upgrade things. And eventually you'll have a nice studio with nice gear. You know, don't go and just drop $10,000 when you've just learned how to use Pro Tools or you just learned how to use Logic or something. Take it one step at a time. Learn as you go. The more you grow, the better your productions get, the better the quality, the better the music, the better the writing. Everything will get better over time as long as you just stay committed to it and like keep doing it and just don't give up on it. I'll say it's not for everybody. Sometimes you just gotta accept that it's a hobby or just a pipe dream. I'm not saying that it's for everybody, but I do think that if you're an artistic person, if you're creative and you need an outlet for that and you're good at creating things, whether it's great music or not is relative. Person A may love it and person B may hate it. If you can just find some people that like it. If you're a producer or an engineer, find some clients who think you have a value to offer them.
I agree with all of that, except for one thing. I wish that when I was getting started, I had $10,000 to drop all at once.
Of course, if you got the money and if you have it at your disposal and you know what you want, invest it wisely. Know what you want to invest in. Don't just go buying stuff because someone told you you need to buy this. Buy it because you researched it and you know what you're buying and you're buying it for a specific purpose.
Yes.
Like, don't just go buy stuff because, oh, this producer or this artist uses all these things, so I'm going to go drop 10 grand and buy the same stuff. No, research it and know why you're buying it and know what purpose it's going to serve you.
Exactly. And the one thing I'll say too is this weekend is NAMM out in California. So that's the National Association of Music Makers. In this industry, just like everything else, gear is constantly changing.
Yeah.
The concepts are pretty much the same. EQ's been the same for decades. So if you have a Pro Tools stock plugin versus a Pro Q3, pretty much going to be able to EQ pretty much the same.
Yeah.
But a new piece of hardware, Pro Tools Carbon versus Apollo, stuff's changing. So if you can get something that's going to last you a long time,
Yes.
it's going to be clean, stay within your budget, don't get in debt.
Yeah.
That's another thing to learn. Don't get in debt.
A little bit of debt if it's not going to kill you.
Yeah,
know,
just
like
make
if
your
you
money
gotta
back.
if you gotta throw a little bit on a credit card or I mean, the first amp I ever bought, I got a $1,000 loan to buy it. It was a Mesa Boogie dual rectifier. It was like the first time that I really wanted to actually buy like a more high-end amp. It was the first amp I ever really spent actual like real money on. I got a personal loan. I went to the bank and I said, "Can I get a personal loan?" Because I don't even know how I did. I mean, they gave it to me. They gave me a loan. Probably, I think my mom might have co-signed actually. $1,000 loan to buy a Mesa Boogie dual rectifier, and I paid it off within probably a year or less or something. I can't remember. But so if you got to do something like that, do it. Just make sure you pay it off quick and don't pay too much interest.
Yeah. All right. So we've got the Apollo. What
Yes.
other racks do we have down here?
This is that Joe Meek channel strip I was talking about.
Oh,
which
yeah.
I've had that thing forever. Another thing I've had for probably 12 years. I've had it almost as long as that mic. It's got a preamp with preamp gain. You got your normal switches with a pad, phantom power, the line, phase switch.
Okay, phase.
It's got this iron switch, which it kind of adds just a sort of like a little bit of shine. Adds a little shine, a little trebly shine kind of. And it also kind of does different things to different sources. So it's kind of cool. It's a neat little thing. It's got an EQ and compressor built into it. So you can turn the compressor on or off, EQ on or off. And the compressor, it's a little optical compressor. It sounds good. I use it on vocals a lot and drums and different stuff. It's cool. And it's got an output gain, which is nice. It's nice. I always like to have input and output gain. So this is the Warm Audio 4-channel, the 412, which is I've just got 4 preamps, and those are just killer, like API style preamps.
Love Warm Audio.
Yep. same thing. They all have input and output gain, which I love. You can really color the signal, or you can get it really clean. However you want to do it. This is ADAT. So
Is that a Focusrite?
it's a Focusrite's Claret. It's the Claret Octopre. It's connected via ADAT. It's, so it expands my interface. It gives me 8 more channels of input, clean preamps, and it's got pretty good converters. If you're looking for an affordable way to add an extra 8 channels to your system, I mean, they're not super cheap compared to buying another Apollo or something.
Yeah, your Claret's on the high end. That's what I've got is all Focusrite. I've got an 18920.
Yeah.
So I went from Apollo to Focusrite. So 18920, I've got an Octopre, and I have an old Octopre from 2010 era, so 10 years ago too.
Is yours just the regular, the standard Octopre?
It's the Mark II. So this was Firewire.
Oh yeah.
Dating myself here.
Oh, so it's not ADAT. Is it an interface?
It's just a pre. So I've got the 18920 bridge to 2 Octopres.
Gotcha. They're cool, man. The Octopres, they're great, man. Especially like this Claret one because it's a little more high end. The other Octopres, but all the Octopres sound good. They're just clean preamps because the converters in these are they're not quite as good as like the Apollo.
Yeah.
So I typically don't do vocals or the more pressing things where I really need like a nice pristine signal. For things like hi-hat mic, I've even recorded toms, I've recorded different things in them. I mean, I'll record anything, to be honest. Like they sound good. They don't sound bad at all. It just gives me extra channels to work with in my studio.
Sweet. So as a guitarist, can you tell me about your rig up here?
Yeah, this is my board. Pretty much just use this in the studio. I've just got
Come on up here.
Come on up and check it out. This is a great little tube screamer. It's just Wampler's version of a classic tube screamer. It's the Clarksdale Delta Overdrive. My buddy Spencer Wasdorp plays for Adam Doliak. He turned me onto that pedal, and ever since I found it, I've loved it. And then this STO, Way Huge STO, that's basically their version of a Noble's Overdrive, which is great. And I've got another little mini pedal board that I use for live. I've had this thing forever, for years. It's old Line 6 M9 multi-effects. It's got like tons of everything in it. Delays, modulations, reverbs, overdrives, anything you can think of, filters.
Sweet.
That H9 pedal is awesome. It's a multi-effects, it's got everything. It's a staple, and every guitar player should have one of those.
Heck yeah.
It's awesome. Those are the ones I use a lot. This Wampler Tumness is killer too. That's like my Klon. Just gives me a little grit on the tone.
And then we've got some sort of UA. Is this another pre?
Aux box. It's an aux box for recording guitar amps. It does a lot of things, but it's a virtual cabinet. And it's a load box, so it takes the load of a guitar amp. So you can run an amp out of the speaker output of a guitar amp, and it emulates the sound of a guitar cabinet being mic'd. You control it with an app, and you can pick different mics. If you want to emulate a 57 and a Royer 121 on a 412 cabinet or something, like you can emulate those things digitally. Even like room sound of the room you're in, how far the distance of the mic. But it also has effects on it too, like reverbs and modulations and compression. You can put an 1176 in the signal chain. I mean, it's expensive, but it is worth the money because it sounds truly amazing. I don't have to mess with mic and guitar amp cabinets anymore. I just plug into that and go.
Sweet. So one other question I have in the control room is on our speakers here for monitoring. We've got, what, 2, is it Focal?
These are Focal Alpha 65s.
Okay. And then is that
the Aventone Mix Cube, which I'm going to be getting a second one. I'm running it in mono right now, but it's just like a reference speaker to hear my mix on a different speaker. You know, it's more mid-rangey, kind of, sort of emulates like cheap computer speakers. To be honest, it's kind of like what it's supposed to sound like.
Okay.
I used to have just a cheap little pair of Klipsch computer speakers that I used for reference monitors, and then I got that thing. These Focals I can't recommend those enough. I love them. They sound great. They're very true, very accurate, and they give me everything I need. You know, for this size room, they're great.
I have a confession. In my younger years, I was a klepto, and I used to work at a retail store. I'm not saying where. but we used to sell Bluetooth speakers. There was one that was not in inventory, it had been out for some time, so I took that, and that's
Nice.
how I reference and monitor things, is on that speaker, along with
Bluetooth
headphone.
speaker?
Yeah, Bluetooth, just to make sure my mixes.
You thief.
I was.
Dude, that's so
Now that
funny,
was
man.
12 years ago. I've grown up since then, so
Yeah.
I'm in a much better place. I prefer to buy things now.
That's good. That's good.
So you may or may not know this, but I'm from southern Indiana in a town called Evansville. We're obviously in Nashville, Tennessee now, but the reason I bring that up is we have some mutual friends. Tim Ash, he's been out here before.
Yeah.
You'll see a video with Tim in his studio, The Groove Attic, later on this summer.
Very
and
cool
then
studio.
It is.
Yeah.
It's hot, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
And
Jimmy the Talent.
Jimmy the Talent.
Yeah. Old Indiana boys. So funny, yeah, because Jimmy and his band just randomly stumbled across me on Sound Better, which is, a website that like where I just had my stuff out, and they like went to my website and checked out my stuff, and they liked it, and they came down to Nashville and recorded. I produced a couple songs with them. They're awesome people, really nice guys. And their buddy Kevin, Kevin Menace. I ended up working with him. He built me a custom guitar, which I need to show that on this video because that's a special thing. We'll do that in a second. He has a little kind of guitar company called Menace Guitars. He builds guitars and they're awesome. He's great. He lives in Princeton, Indiana.
It's very cool.
Small world.
When I was in my last semester at SAE, Jimmy and the guys drove down and we tracked like 4 songs one night.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
So,
very cool, man.
It is a small world, little big town said it best. Everything's connected.
Yeah.
I reached out to someone, turns out we have 3 mutual friends. So it is all connected. One thing that I learned in this industry, actually before I moved here, I went to this thing called Tour and Career Workshop.
Mm-hmm.
It's held at Soundcheck, usually October, November sometime.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that they said, out of all the stuff we talked about tonight, staging, lighting, audio, how to keep yourself protected, insurance, and all that, they said, be nice.
Yeah.
Be humble, don't be a dick.
Be a good person. Be a cool hang. Especially in Nashville more so than anywhere. Nashville runs on the buddy system. If you're a friend of someone, you're more likely to get a gig working with them over someone else who may be more qualified than you if you're just a buddy. And if you're cool, if you're nice, if you're a good person.
I've been there, I've seen that happen.
Yeah, like that's literally how Nashville is ran. So that's cool. I mean, it's like just get out and meet people. Get out, be cool, be nice. Support
sure.
people in what they do. Don't just always be worried about yourself and accomplishing things for yourself. Worry about supporting other people and lifting them up and helping them. Because when you start worrying about serving others and not so much just serving yourself, that's when you start really seeing growth and seeing things happen for yourself, but also for others around you.
I love that. It's very profound, but it's
Yeah.
the truth. On that, how did you get this whole thing started?
I mean, it was a long process because I've been recording music for a long time, but for many years I did it just out of a bedroom in our old townhouse we used to live in. So I've been like a bedroom producer for a long time. Like the first couple albums I made with bands I was playing with were done out of, well, the first one I ever did was done out of my college apartment in my bedroom, recorded vocals in a closet, and I mean, we've all been there, I'm sure, like we all know how it is. I always had a dream to have my own studio. I mean, I didn't always know that I would build one necessarily, but I just always wanted my own studio where I could do everything I wanted to do. Record guitars, record a full band, record everything, make video content. Sort of a multimedia production suite, production facility, if you will. We found this house in 2018. I decided I want to buy a house in Nashville because I knew the market was growing and I knew it would be a good investment. We found this place and it was barely in our price range, but I made it work. And it had this 2-car garage and I was like, that's going to be my studio. And
Sweet.
I got my buddy Leo to help me build it, finish it out. We added these walls because it was one big building, so we had to build these interior walls and insulate it, do all this other stuff, and And it's soundproof enough. It's not fully soundproofed, and I've done things to help with all that. And as far as how I got started, I mean, I went to school at University of North Alabama, which is close to Muscle Shoals, which is a big music town. There's lots of great music there, lots of great artists, lots of cool things happening there. I studied media production. Entertainment media production was the degree I did. And if I'm being honest, I learned a few things, and I'm glad I got the degree. Really, most of what I know and the skill that I've developed has really just been from just doing it. When I was in college, I borrowed a 002 interface, a 002 control surface. There was an interface with the control surface faders and everything. My buddy had it. His dad gave it to him, and he didn't even know what it was. It was laying in his house. I was like, dude, can I borrow that? He let me borrow it for a year. He forgot about it. I borrowed that thing, had it for a year, got a cracked version. I shouldn't say this, but I got a bootleg version of Pro Tools. I just messed with it, learned it. I did take some classes in college on Pro Tools, and I learned some stuff. It's really just watching videos, watching tutorials, and just constantly spending hours and hours and hours and hours just messing with it and learning it, learning the software, learning how things work, learning signal flow, learning all the basic stuff that you need to know, and just doing it. And the first few things you do are probably gonna suck. You're gonna get better with every project. You just gotta do it. Anyway, so I played in bands in college and did that, and we made some records and toured and all this stuff. And then I just kept going from there. Joined Live by Satellite with old Mikey Collinsworth. We toured around, did a lot of stuff, made a record, kind of more of an EP that we put out. We sort of parted ways with that after a few years, and we learned a lot of things during the process of that band and had a lot of great, cool things happen. We all kind of went our own way. I've since played with a lot of different artists. I can't say that I've done anything with any kind of major artist that's like everybody would know about. Worked with Dallas Remington. I've played for Bobby McClendon, for Zach Hacker, who was on Nashville Star years ago, and his sister won, Angela Hacker, and they're great artists, great singers, great songwriters. I've worked with Billy Lawson, who actually is no relation to me, but big songwriter. I've worked with Josh Dunn. A lot of songwriters that not many people may know about. They've had some hits. Just a lot of like independent artists that are up and coming and doing their own thing, like making music. Going back to Indiana and the mutual friends. Jimmy DeTalent's buddy, his name is Kevin Menace, who I met through Jimmy. We kind of connected and found out he builds guitars, and he built me this custom Telecaster.
Nice.
It's a beautiful guitar. I love this thing. I kind of spec'd out everything with it, and he built it for me. So huge shout out to Menace Guitars. Kevin Menace is the man. He will build anything you want, and he can do it. He does it well.
I'm sure it sounds good. Looks like it's been through some use.
So he relicked it, actually. Like it's new. Like he made it to look vintage and used.
Gotcha.
He made it to look worn, you know.
You did a good job with that.
Yeah. So I haven't actually done all this to it, you know.
I see.
But
okay.
It is a relic, yeah. But yeah, he did great work on it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So I had a couple more questions before we wrap up. Is there any artist, known or unknown, that you would like to work with?
So many. Man, I mean, my dogs are out there barking. We'll have to introduce them.
Yes. Got to get studio dogs.
I would love to work with, man, I have to think about that.
I know this is kind of unscripted. I didn't really talk about this part.
No, it's a good question. It's a good question.
There's so many.
Brothers Osborne. I'm a big fan, and I'm a huge fan of Jay Joyce, the producer, and he does all of Brothers Osborne. He does a lot of people. Big Nashville guy. He's a big influence to me. I've kind of stole a lot of tricks and little sauce from him. You know, like he inspires me. So I'd love to work with him on some level. Like we're both producers. We both play guitar. We're both very similar in what we do. But just in some facet, it'd be cool to work with him. Like usually most of the artists that he works with, I love their music. You know, I mean, Zach Brown Brand would be really fun to work with just because they're talented, they're a cool band. And that's more in the country realm. I'm trying to think of rock bands. I mean, I grew up playing rock and roll because I've been so engulfed in the country scene in Nashville. It's kind of what I've sort of like built I've gotten good at doing that,
At
that genre. That's kind of what I specialize in. That said, like I work with rock and roll. It all, to me, I just like doing organic music. I like doing music that has real instruments in it, that has, and don't get me wrong, I'm not against pop or any of that. Like, I love pop music. I do work with a lot of pop country, or just straight up pop, rock, pop, all that stuff. I have nothing against that, but I like music that incorporates elements of real instruments, real human performance.
And with that being said, what advice would you have to anybody that wants to get into this as a career, musician or engineer producer?
I'd say just be bold and be unapologetic. Just do it. Different people have different circumstances, and it's harder to gain access to things for some people. Some people are born with a little more privilege, a little more funds, or whatever it may be, to gain access to instruments and gear, and others may be not so privileged and it may be more difficult. But you know, you can always go get a job at McDonald's or somewhere and put money into savings every week and get you whatever you need to get started. So I would say just do it. One piece of advice I would say is if you really truly want a career doing music, whether it's producing, engineering, or being a musician, I'm not going to say don't go to college, but I'm going to say really do your research. The most important thing is who you know, and getting out and networking and gaining a skill. Get good at doing something, and the only way to get good at that is to do it a lot. Be consistent. If you're a guitar player, play guitar every single day. In this day and age, I would definitely learn how to record your guitar and get decent recordings of it. And whatever that is, then figure it out. It's just be consistent is all it is. If you don't really love it, you got to have the passion. You got to have the passion for it. You got to love it. The rest of it will come in time, and just be patient.
I agree. Just to chime in on that, I would say, again, don't get in debt. Get the gear that you need. Learn it. Be an awesome, humble person. Be somebody that artists want to work with. And
Dogs.
Hi guys.
Open the door. Let's let them check us out. There's
Hi.
Zeppelin. That's Zeppelin. He's the wild child. He's gonna go crazy for a second. Hey. And there's Harley.
Hi. You remember me.
Harley. Jeez. Yeah, my dogs aren't as peaceful as some other studio dogs, but they will be once they sniff you out and stuff.
Can you sit down?
So where were we?
Advice.
Yes.
Yes, just be humble.
That's-
somebody that
Can't agree more.
others would.
Just don't be a dick. Don't be arrogant.
Yes.
Be confident. I would say be confident. Learn to have confidence and be confident in yourself, but just don't put down others. Always be humble. Listen to what other people have to say and be open-minded. Be humble and,
Yes.
and confident at the same time.
And then I would say learn and understand signal flow and gain staging, and everything else will come. So the two things from this: don't go into debt and be a good person.
Right.
Well, I have enjoyed seeing you guys again. Yes, very much. Ladies and gents, you have seen Claw Sound Studios. Corey, thank you so much, brother man, for having me out. Good to
Thank you,
see you.
Paul.
Appreciate everything you've done.
Appreciate you coming here.
How can people contact you to book a studio session?
Easiest way is email Claw Sound Studios, plural, clawsoundstudios@gmail.com. And you can go to my website, clawsoundstudios.com. And Instagram, you can check me out on there too as well. I respond to messages on Instagram.
Sweet. So it's Claw Sound Studios. I follow him. I'll have the link for all this stuff in the description. YouTube, do you want to plug that? What was that channel?
Yeah, Claw Sound Studios, just same, everything all around. That's CLAW Sound Studios.
Beautiful. All right, so this has been our tour of Claw Sound Studios. I had a lot of fun. Go ahead, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. There we go.
Hit it.
So that way you can be up to date on the latest Nashville studio tours. We will see you in the next one. That was a terrible one.
That was maybe one. I'm gonna give it a
Not
one.
even that. That was just.
Didn't come up on the camera either.
It didn't. Okay. It felt like heartburn.
That's what it is.
We just ate up my nails too, so.
Oh yeah, of course.
So I'm sitting behind some drums.
Spill drums. Wait, I totally.
Like? Is it? That's the like? That's the like, isn't it? Yeah. Go ahead, like, subscribe. No. Hey Corey, did you touch my?
Don't
drums?
touch my drums.
Don't touch my drum set. I'm not gonna put my nuts on it.
Dave's gonna get real mad.
Yeah. So Dave, no. But so we're behind the drums here.
Spill beer on my drums, bro.
I'd rather spill beer than put my nuts on it.